always start 7 minutes late. But instead of rushing in, we rush too much again, we still get opportunity to get it. So maybe like 5, 7 hours.
הנה מה טובו מנעים שבת אחים גם יחד הנה מה טובו מנעים שבת אחים
Can I ask you all to please take your seats? Take your seats, please. Together.
הנה מה טוב שבת אחים גם יחד הנה מה טוב שבת אחים גם יחד. So on the second line, instead of Shevet Achim Gam Yachad, we can rotate and say Shevet Nashim Gam Yachad. Get a little gender balance in Hine Matov. Hine Matov Manayim Shevet Achim Gam Yachad Hine Matov Manayim Shevet Nashim Gam Yachad Hine Matov Shevet Achim Gam Yachad Hine Matov Shevet Achim Gam Yachad Hine Matov
Shevet Achim Gam Yachad
Welcome, everyone. I'm Rabbi David Weiss. It's a pleasure to be here with this amazing group of people, group of leaders, group of congregants. Shana Tova to everybody. We'll be starting with Mincha, which I'll lead, which is a special prayer only done on Mincha, where we include the Al-Chet in the silent Amidah. So you're invited to look at that closely as we do that. And then, of course, we'll begin the Kol Nidre with Chazan Jeremy and our beautiful choir that will be here in a moment. And we begin our service on page 431. And let us read responsively this psalm. Ashrei Yoshvei Veitecha Od Yalelucha Selah.
Ashreyam shekachalo, Ashreyam shekanayalo.
Tila leDavid aramimcha Elohai HaMelech v'yavarcha shimcha li'olam va'ed.
Echoyam avarchecha, u'asmi l'olam va'ed.
Gadol Adonai milal mi'od, gedulakto ein chekeh. Adar kevod hodecha v'divrei neflotecha asicha. Zecher av tuvcha yabiu v'tzidkatcha yiranenu. Tov Adonai lako v'rachamav kol ma'asav. Kevod malchutcha yomerot v'ratcha yidaberot. Malchutcha malchut kol olamim memshatcha b'chol dor v'dor. Einei chol lecha yisaberu v'ata noten lehem et achlam b'ito. Tzadik Adonai b'chol derachav v'chasid b'chol ma'asav. Yiretzon yireav yaseh v'yet shavatam yishma v'yoshiyeh. Tilat Adonai yidaber pi v'yivarecha b'sa Shem kadsho li'olam va'ed v'anachnu nevarech yah me'ata v'yad olam. Hallelujah. Please rise. Yitgadal v'yikadash shmei Rabbah bi'alma divrach hinuteh v'yamlich machuteh v'chayechonu v'yamechonu v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael b'galav v'zman kariv v'yimru amen yehi shmei Rabbah mivarach le'olam le'ol me'ol maya Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpar v'yitramam v'yinaseh v'yitadavid v'yilav shmei d'kudsha b'dicho le'ela le'ela mikol birchata v'shirata tosh v'chata v'nechemata damiram b'yalma v'yimiru amen. We daven the Amidah together until the end on page 433 to the end of 434. And then you continue with the silent Amidah until the conclusion, including the Al-Chet, which is on 439, until the conclusion of the Amidah, which is on page 441. On page 433, if you're able to join in with me, you're invited to do so. Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanora El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim v'Konei Hakol, v'Zocher Chasdei Avot v'Imahot, ומביא גואל לבני בניהם למען שמו באהבה. זוכרנו לחיים מלך חפץ בחיים וכותבנו בספר החיים. זוכרנו לחיים מלך חפץ בחיים, וכתבנו בספר החיים, למען כל אלוהים חיים. מלך עוזר ובוקר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ופוקד שרה.
אמן.
אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי מתים אתה רב להושיע, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי מתים ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר, מי כמוך בעל גבורות, עמידה מלך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישוע, מי כמוך אב ורחמים, זוכר יצוריו לחיים ורחמים, בנאמנות לחיות מתים, ברוך אתה אדוני לחיי המתים. נקדש ככתוב היד נביאך וקרא זה על זה ויאמר קדוש קדוש אדוני צבאו מלך על הארץ כבודו לעומתם ברוך יאמרו ברוך כבוד אדוני מגדול. ובדברי קודשך כתוב לאמור ימלוך אדוני לעולם אלוהי ציון לדור ודור לדור ודור הללויה לדור ודור לדור ודור לדור ודור נגיד גדלך לדור ודור לדור ודור לדור ודור נגיד גדלך היו לנצח נצחים קדושתך נקדיש קדושתך נקדיש ושבחך אלוהינו מפינו לא ימוש לעולם לעולם ועד לדור ודור לדור ודור לדור ודור נגיד גדלך לדור ודור דור ודור לדור ודור נגיד גדלך כי אל מלך גדול וקדוש גדול וקדוש אתה כי אל מלך גדול וקדוש גדול וקדוש אתה לדור ודור לדור ודור לדור ודור נגיד גדלך לדור ודור לדור ודור לדור ודור נגיד גדלך. אתה כונן לי אדם יד המלך
זה קו השופר גדול לחיותנו. משפט. מלך המשפט. אל תגיד, אל תגיד. לחיים טובים ולבני בריתך. שלום רבי
If you have finished the Amida, you may be seated. We're in the middle of page 441 for the Kaddish Shalem. Please rise. יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, ביעלמא דיברך ינוטה, וימליך מלכותה, בחייכון ובמכון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל, בעגל ובזמן קריב ויאמרו, אמן. יהי שמי רבה מברך, לעולם יעלמי עולמיה, יתברך, יתברך וישתבח ויבא, ויתרומם וינשא, ויתהדר ויתלהב אליו, שמי דקודשה, ברכו, לעילה לעילה מכל בחרתה, בשירתה, תוש בחד המלחמת, הדמין ויעלמה ויאמרו אמן. תתקבל צלותן אבותן, דכל ישראל כנבו נשמיה ויאמרו אמן. יהי שלום רב מן שמיה וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ויאמרו אמן. העושה שלום במרומיו, יעשה שלום עלינו וכל ישראל. I ve'yemro, amen. Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'akol Yisrael. 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 Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'akol. Now with feeling, ready? Hayaseh Shalom. Hayaseh Shalom. We need a little shalom. Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Together. Hayaseh Shalom. Hayaseh Shalom. Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Hayaseh Shalom. Yaseh Shalom. Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yimido. Amen. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol. לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית שלא עשינו כגויי ארצות ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה שלא שם חלקנו כהם וגורלנו ככל עמונם ואנחנו קוראים המשתחווים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא שהונות השמיים ויסד הארץ המשב יקר המשווים ממעל השכנת הזו בגבי מירא ומייהם הו אלוהינו אין עוד אין אלוהינו אפס זולתו כתבתו בתורתו וידעתו וימי הסבותו אל לבבך כי אדוני הוא אלוהים בשמיים ממעל ועל הארץ ועל הארץ מתחת אין עוד. ונאמן והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד עוד שמו Morning's Kaddish on page 443.
Yitgadal, Yitgadash, Shmei Rabbah, V'alma, Divrach Yerutei, V'amlich Malchutei, B'chaye Chon, V'yomei Chon, V'chaye Dechol Beit Yisrael, Ba'agala, V'zman Kariv, V'imru Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah, Mevarach, Le'olam, Almei, Almaya, Yitbarach, V'yishtabach, V'yitpoar, V'yitroman, V'yitnaseh. V'yitadar, v'yitaleh, v'yitalal, Shmeid Kudisha Brechu, Li'ela, Min Kol, Berchata, V'shirata, Tushbechata, V'nechemata, Da'amiran B'alma, V'imru Amen. Yehei Shlomo Rabba, Min Shemaya, V'chaim Aleinu, V'al Kol Yisrael, V'imru Amen. Oseh Shalom, V'imru Mav, Uyaseh Shalom Aleinu, V'al Kol Yisrael, V'imru Amen.
You may be seated. Turn back to page 204. Throughout the ages, Kol Nidre has been very controversial. How can we annul vows we made in the past? Or as Kol Nidre was later revised from the past tense to the future, how can we preempt our vows and annul them before we even made them? And why should the Kol Nidre annulment of vows have such a prominent position at the opening of the Yom Kippur service? Thus, over the years, some Jewish movements and synagogues even dropped Kol Nidre from the service, but popular appeal forced them to reinstate it. The most common association of the Kol Nidre is with the forced conversion of the Marranos, who secretly practiced Judaism after being forcibly converted during the Spanish Inquisition from 1391 till 1492. However, most scholars are able to provide sources that show that the text of Kol Nidre actually appeared some 500 years earlier. Joseph Bloch in 1917 attempted to trace the origins of Kol Nidre to the persecution of the Jews in the 7th century Spain by the Visigoths. According to Bloch, the barbarian conquerors themselves, freshly converted to Christianity, forced the Jews to renounce their religion and vow their acceptance of the Jewish faith, of the Christian faith. But the forced converts remained secretly faithful to their Jewish religion, and when Yom Kippur came, they would observe Yom Kippur secretly. Nevertheless, feeling they had broken the solemn oath given, albeit under duress, they composed the Kol Nidre to voice grief over their apostasy, to seek forgiveness for their unwilling vows. This Bloch argues is the reason that Kol Nidre is recited at the beginning of Yom Kippur, just as the Jews in the 7th century said it to start Yom Kippur and then secretly observed Jewish practices that solemn day. Bloch further argues that the Jews suffered similar persecutions. For example, during the Byzantine Empire, the Jews also utilized Kol Nidre in the same fashion as an introduction to Yom Kippur. And the same was done by the Marranos during the Spanish Inquisition, for whom many associate Kol Nidre today. Though Bloch's analysis about the source of Kol Nidre and when it was actually read has not been historically validated, it is probably true that secret Jews in various times and in various locations did utilize Kol Nidre as a means of absolving themselves from vows made under duress as they secretly observed Yom Kippur. We are obviously not Jews living under coercion today, so Kol Nidre may not be literally applicable to us. However, Kol Nidre is a way to connect us with Jews everywhere and from all historical circumstances. As we hear Kol Nidre tonight, let us appreciate and be inspired by the resilience, the courage, and the passion of our people to survive and thrive. We begin with the Kol Nidre introductory prayers on page 204.
Please rise as the ark is open. Long-time tradition of Beth Radom, we let some of the ladies and gentlemen who've had their bar mitzvahs here over the years hold the Sifrei Torah during Kol Nidre. Some of them get, every year, a little bit taller. Maybe I'm getting shorter. Chazan, when you're ready.
I know I'm getting shorter.
Bishiva shel Bala, Bishiva shel Bala, Ubishiva shel Bata, Aldat Hamakom, Aldat Hamakom, Ve'aldat Hakahal. מתירים להתפלל עם עבריינים.
Nidre Vesarei Vacharamei Vekunamei Vechinuyei Vekinusei Vekinusei Ushevut Din Darena Udeishtabana Udeyacharimna Vedi asarana Anavshatana on Yom Kippurim Haba Aleinu Haba Aleinu Letova Icharat now behom Kulhon Yehon Sharan Kulhon Yehon Sharan Yehon Sharan Shevitin B'teilin u'talin La sheririn La kayamin Nidre La Nidre Vesarana La Esarei Ushavuatana La Shavuot Vekinusei Ushavuot Din Darna sharat na vehon.
Kuhon Yehon
Lohon Yehon sharan.
Yehon Sharan Shlikin Shlitin
Beteilin utalin.
Lasherim Lakayamim
Ninarana.
Ve'esarana La'esarem
Shavuatana.
Lashavut
Kol nidre ve'esarei v'charamei v'konamei v'chinuyei Ve'kinusei Ushavut. Udeishtabana Udeacharina Udeishtabana
השמיים לשרירים ורק הימים נינרנה ונסלח לכל עדת בני ישראל ולגר הגר בתוכם כי לכל העם נשגגה ונסלח לכל עדת בני ישראל ולגר הגר בתוכם כי לכל העם נשגגה ונסלח לכל עדת בני ישראל ולגר הגר בתוכם כי לכל העם נשגגה סלח נא לעוונם הזה כי גודל חסדך וכאשר נתן עליהם אז מצרים מיד הענק ושם נאמר ויאמר אדוני סלחתי כדבריך ויאמר אדוני סלחתי כדבריך ויאמר אדוני סלחתי כדבריך לזמן הזה שהחיינו
You may be seated.
You are so not invited to my bat mitzvah. Have you seen it? Yes. Have you seen it? Let me see a show of hands. Have you seen it? Okay. I have yet to talk to someone who hasn't, but if you are one of them, I'll give you a brief overview. You Are So Not Invited to My Bat Mitzvah is an Adam Sandler comedy that debuted on Netflix last month. It was filmed here in Toronto at Beth Radom, just down the street, and it was the talk of the Jewish community last summer, especially when they were calling out for extras to volunteer to be a part of the movie. The film tells the story of two best friends who are enmeshed in the world of bar and bat mitzvahs, a period of life relatable to many of us when your entire social life revolves around whose simcha is happening and where. As always, a movie on a Jewish topic will garner a lot of Jewish interest. And although Adam Sandler movies are not always the highest quality, if you've seen Grown Ups 2, you know what I'm talking about, I have heard him speak openly and warmly about Judaism being an important part of his life, and so I was excited to see it. At the same time, I was worried. After all, this film was going to be on Netflix, and after experiencing the self-hating Jewish content of some other movies that I had seen on that platform, I was fearful of the way Judaism would be portrayed. Representation matters, and I had hoped that Judaism would get treated well, that the stereotypes would be overlooked, and they would be tempered by the values of Judaism that I hold so deeply in my heart. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Cindy Kozarok, and I have been a shul rat my whole life. A shul rat, in my definition, is someone who has shul in their bones, in their DNA. My earliest memories of shul began in the early 1970s when my parents and their friends, all newly arrived Montrealers, got together to create a shul that was just like the ones that they had left behind, that felt like home to them. In the basement of their friend's house, the Shar Shalom Synagogue was born. My mother was the treasurer, and the blueprints for the synagogue building seemed to be permanently laid out on our dining room table, as she, my father, and the other volunteers worked to make their dream a reality. I remember the high holiday services in rented spaces, in malls and hockey arenas, needed to accommodate the overwhelmingly large high holiday crowds. Mine was one of the first bat mitzvahs in the original small sanctuary that was eventually expanded to become a large and beautiful synagogue. Shul felt like home to me. I hung out in the bathroom with my friends and had secret names for all the funny-looking grown-ups whose real names I didn't know. Sadly, I lost my mom to cancer when I was 23, and I began attending shul daily to say Kaddish in her memory. I became more and more enmeshed in Jewish living, something that had become a chore for me when I was a teen, something that I did for my parents because I loved and respected them, became something that was important to me, something that provided the structure and support that I needed as I navigated the difficult waters of greeting a parent. My story is not unique. I have met countless people who began saying Kaddish as a duty to their parents and eventually became active volunteers in the congregation because they wanted to support others like they had been supported themselves. Whether you lose a parent at a very young age or as part of the natural cycle of aging, the loss unmoors you. The loss unmoors you. Jewish laws of mourning provide a structure like no other. It's a truly genius system designed to provide a scaffold on which to rebuild your sense of normalcy when nothing feels normal anymore. When I had my own children and moved to Bathurst Manor, I wanted to find a shul in the neighborhood so that I could walk on Shabbat and holidays. I found Beth Radom through my nephew's daycare, Menorah, in 1997. Rabbi Bagley would come to blow shofar for the kids and left a great impression on our family. And while the rest is history, Beth Radom became my family's shul home. In the 26 years since I first came to Beth Radom, the shul has gone through many changes, and so have I. My sons, Michael, Solomon, and Elliot, grew up in the shul, going from playing with toys on the floor to hanging out with their friends in the youth room to teaching in the Hebrew school. For my part, I followed in my mother's footsteps and joined the board, volunteering my little heart out to give back to my community. As a parent who wasn't always happy with the materialistic values society was pushing on my kids, I was so grateful to have a shul to raise them in, to teach them the values that I held dear, to model the volunteer spirit, and even to teach them how to sit quietly when necessary and look someone in the eye when they shook their hand. Where else would I be able to go in today's age to practice those all-important skills? It was really, really hard work to schlep those guys to shul every week, but it was worth it. I know, because now that they've grown, they've told me. Don't look at me, you'll make me cry. My profession is an elementary school teacher. So one of the ways that I contributed on the board was to give feedback on the Hebrew school and make suggestions for changes to the Bar and Bat Mitzvah program, which of course led me to becoming the director of education and the principal of the Hebrew school, a job that became a life-changing position, and it pushed me towards a doctorate degree in Jewish education, something I would never have been able to do without the support of the team here at Beth Radom. And although I no longer run the Hebrew school because my studies take too much time, I love seeing the kids at every opportunity I can and advise our new director of education. In 2019, Beth Radom gave me the greatest gift I could have dreamed of receiving. Our intrepid president, Mark Vernon, became my husband on this very bima, and I became stepmom to the beautiful and brilliant daughters he and their amazing mom, Karen, have raised, Jordan, Mariah, and Tori. So here I am. I now refer to myself as a shul nerd rather than a shul rat, but the sentiment is the same. I value shul life, and even if you don't share in my nerdiness, I believe that all of you value shul too. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here listening to me now. You wouldn't have paid the cost of the ticket. You wouldn't have rushed your kishkas out to finish eating, get dressed, and fight traffic and parking to be in this holy place at this holy time, albeit feeling a little overstuffed and somehow already thirsty. For many years, I have done a values clarification activity with the kids in the Hebrew school and in the family service. It has props. So, before the Chag, I asked the Hebrew school kids to tell me what was really important to them. And I would take the words that they told me and I would write them on these ping pong balls. This part of the activity was really had the kids stopping and thinking. Was this important to me because I really like doing it, such as a video game? Or was it important because it represents something that I think should be important to everyone, something that makes me a better person, and if everyone did it, the world a better place? By the end of the activity, the words they had decided on were words like family and friends and honesty and kindness, you know, the good stuff. So for the demonstration, I would always show a jar that had rice in it. Et voila. It's not cooked, we can't eat it. And, sorry, let me find my spot. The jar represents each of us. The ping pong balls are our values, and the rice is everything else. The activities we like, the shows we watch, the social media we follow, the stuff that we do. As you can see, if we fill the jar first with rice, we realize that there is no place for the ping pong balls. We've taken up all the space with the stuff that isn't that important, and we haven't left room for the things that are. And so, I demonstrate, if you'll follow along with me for a moment. The thing about the rice is you don't even realize that it's filled it all up because it just flows into every space. So, as the demonstration continues, I would show the students that if you put the ping pong balls in first, then you get to have both. The ping pong balls hold their rightful place in the jar. I'm trying to read and do things at the same time. Because they are the core of who you are. The rice can then find its own space, fill it all up, and you still have room to do all the things you like to do. But what you've done is you've ensured that your core values were in place first. Now, you don't have room for all of the rice, but it's okay if you spend a little bit less time on TikTok. So, what does all this have to do with the Adam Sandler movie? Let me put my props down. I'll come back, don't worry. Some people have told me that they don't really like it, that the excessive wealth displayed makes Jews look materialistic, that the Shabbat services were strangely written, and other criticism that really just turned them off the whole thing. Some of you may feel that way as well. If you do, I want to encourage you to watch the movie again. This time, think of those criticisms as the rice in the jar, and look instead for the ping pong balls, the places where I think they got it right. You know, they showed that the most important part of a bat mitzvah is about the Torah portion, not the party. They showed that being a Jewish adult is about giving back to your community by focusing on the mitzvah project, not the boyfriend. They showed the diversity of the Jewish community by including Jews of color. They showed how hard Jewish educators, as embodied in Rabbi Rebecca's way over-the-top character, have to quite literally sing and dance to get and keep the attention of young people and hope to teach them something about being menschy along the way. They showed that being a Jewish parent sometimes means being unpopular. Occasionally, you have to throw your child over your shoulder, plop them in the car, and force them to do the right thing because you love them enough to let them hate you a little bit. In fact, one of my favorite scenes right after Adam Sandler's daughter tells him that she hates him because he won't let her have a mojito bar at her bat mitzvah, he shouts, "That's why we fought the Nazis, so you can have a mojito bar?" And so I liked the movie a lot. And I found out from Rabbi Warnick, the senior rabbi at Beth Tzedek, that the creators of the film also cared a lot about representing Judaism as well as they could. They even hired one of the new rabbis at Holy Blossom to consult with Sarah Sherman, the actor who played Rabbi Rebecca, because the movie was representing Reform Judaism, not conservative Judaism. It mattered to them to ensure that the ping pong balls were there, and I think that makes me like it even more. That being said, I did have one very big problem with the movie's representation, not with Judaism, but with synagogues and Hebrew schools. It seemed as if every one of the students in this movie went to the same public school, where everyone else was Jewish, and everyone there went to the same Hebrew school, which seemed to take place every single day. They staged Beth Tzedek to be like a high school, bustling with kids, walking in the halls, and spending a lot of their free time there, even using hidden spaces for their romantic liaisons. These kids had obviously grown up in their Hebrew school as they reminisced about the kindergarten teacher they had all shared and were familiar enough with their rabbi to perform impersonations of her. Oh, how I wish that representation was our reality. It was like that when we Gen Xers and above were kids, where you had to rent out arenas to accommodate the high holiday crowds, when even the least observant Jews attended those all-important 3 days a year and ensured that their kids had a bar or bat mitzvah in the shul their parents belonged to. This is simply no longer the reality. Synagogue membership and high holiday attendance are not the givens that we once thought they were. My parents' beloved shul, Shar Shalom, was one of the victims of the change in Jewish behavior in the GTA. It closed its doors because its volunteer base just couldn't carry it on their shoulders any longer. We see and hear of synagogues all over the city trying to figure out how to keep their doors open through mergers and other financial arrangements. And we here at Beth Radom keep doing our best to keep our high standards alive amidst the financial pressures that everyone is feeling these days. One of the ways that we have done this is to be realistic about the changes in society and how people choose to access synagogue life in the post-COVID era. We have had to adapt our approach, embracing social media marketing and creative expression to capture the attention of the Instagram crowd. When we switched to Zoom services, we invested in the hardware and developed the know-how to make it work. Now we can't give it up. How can we tell our members who are not able to leave their homes but have found a connection through Zoom that we're going to stop streaming our services? We can't, and we won't. But adapting this way is expensive. Live streaming technicians and social media managers are budget items that we never had to worry about before, but we must embrace them if we want to adapt and grow. So here I come to the ask. It's not something that comes easily to me. I am no salesperson, but this one is simple. I know for a fact that if you're sitting here, that you have Beth Radom written somewhere on one of your ping pong balls. I ask you to reflect on how you can help us steer Beth Radom during these challenging financial times. If you are struggling yourself, we understand. If paying for your seats was a challenge, and as it has been for me and my family in the past, and you did it to support your shul, we understand and we thank you. But if you're lucky enough to have a lot of rice in your life, and that rice costs a lot of money, let's be real, then I ask you to reconsider where you put your hard-earned dollars. I promise, if you put them behind your ping pong balls, you'll never regret it. You'll be paid back in dividends in the faces of the generations to come. Plus, you get a donation receipt. So I thank you for listening. On behalf of Mark, myself, our kids, I wish you a meaningful fast and a sweet and happy new year. Gmar Chatima Tova. The ushers will be coming around to collect your pledge cards. Please remove the sticker and affix it to the donation level that is most comfortable for you. And thank you for your support.
Sure. Oh, we'll take a moment. The ushers will come around and take a moment to do your pledge, please. And she didn't cry.
Just a little.
Is there anyone else who wanted to give in a card that has not done so yet? Just raise your hand and someone will come around and Usher will be there. We continue with the Ma'ariv service on page 207. The Baruch Hu, please rise. You may be seated. Page 207. Baruch atah.
ומעביר יום ומביא לילה ומעביר בין יום ובין לילה אדוני צבאות שמו אל חי וקיים תמיד ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד Adonai, Amari Varavim. Ahavat Olam Ben Yisrael. כי הם מחיינו ואורך ימינו ובהם נגע יומם ולילה ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב עמו ישראל. אמן. שמע ישראל אדוני אלוהינו אדוני אחד. ברוך שם כבוד מלכותו לעולם ועד.
Together, Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברתם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקששתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבת על שדות ביתך ובישורך, והיה עם שמות תשמע מצוותיך.
Adonai Elohim emet. Amavir banav ben Yisrael sufel rofem sonohem timoti bamru banav gevurato shibechu ve'adu lishmo umalchuto b'ratzon gimlu aleihem Moshe u'bnei Yisrael lechanu shirat besimcha הים לפני משה, זה ליאנו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. kivad Adonai Yaakov Yolom Yachzap Imenu Baruch Adonai Gal Yisrael.
We turn to page 211 on the English side. Let us read this responsively. Allow us, Adonai our God, to sleep peacefully and to awaken again to life our sovereign.
Spread over us your canopy of peace.
Restore us with your good counsel, and save us for the sake of your name.
Shield us, remove from us enemies and pestilence, sword, starvation, and sorrow. Remove the evil forces that surround us.
Shelter us in the shadow of your wings, for you, God, watch over and deliver us, and you are the sovereign, merciful, and compassionate.
Ensure our going and coming for life and peace, now and forever.
May you spread over us your canopy of peace.
Canopy of peace over us and over all the people Israel and over Jerusalem.
ושמור צאתנו בואנו לחיים ושלום מעתה ועד עולם ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך ברוך אתה אדוני הפורס סוכת שלום עלינו ועל כל עמו ישראל ועל ירושלים.
We turn to page 212, the fifth line. Please rise.
כי ביום הזה יכפר עליכם לטהר אתכם מכל חטאותיהם לפני אדוני תתארו.
יתגדל ויקדש שמי רבן ויעמד יברח חירותי וימליך מלכותי בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי כל בית ישראל בגלה ובזמן קריב ואמרו אמן.
אמן. יהי שמי רבן יברך לעולם ולעמי עולמיה יתברך.
יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתהלל ויתהלל שמי דקודשה בריחו לילה ולילה מן הכל ברכתה ושירתה ושפחתה ונחמתה
תהילן מעלמא
ואמרו
The silent Amidah begins on page 213 and concludes on page 221.
ובכן דבר Sim, Shalom.
You finish the Amida, you may be seated. Those who are finished, you can turn to your neighbor, wish them a Gemar Tov. Take a moment, say hello. Maybe turn to someone you don't know and say, Gemar Tov, it's nice to meet you. We're sitting here in our services together, Shana Tova. It's a good opening line, Shana Tova.
No one's singing to you, so we'll give you a
Shana Tova.
I'll leave the poor guy out. He's working so hard.
One of my favorite songs, and the first song I learned on the guitar, was The Sound of Silence. Beautiful song by Paul Simon. The words are beautiful, very thoughtful. For those who remember it, you can recite them with me. Hello, darkness, my old friend, I've come to talk with you again, because a vision softly creeping left its seeds while I was sleeping, and the vision that was planted in my brain still remains within the sound of silence. And then 2 paragraphs later, he says the stanza which I'm going to be focusing on today. And he says, in the naked light I saw 10,000 people, maybe more, and then he says it so beautifully, people talking without speaking, people hearing without listening, people writing songs that voices never could. Right. No one could disturb the sound of silence. On Kol Nidre Eve, we are challenged to talk, to hear and to share differently, and dare to disturb that sound of silence. Throughout Yom Kippur, we emphasize the need to lishmoa, as in the Shema. We need to hear and listen. The first sentence of the Shema, which we all know, Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one, has a deep emotional connection for many Jews. The first section of the Talmud, the analysis, the oral law of the 5 books of Moses, begins with a section about when you say the Shema. The first section says, when do you say the Shema in the beginning of each day? And how important it is to start the day off with Shema. Some people also say the Shema at the end of the day before they go to bed every night, and say what they call Krishma Alamita, which I often skipped, but I was told to say when I was younger. The Shema said at bedtime. And the Shema is often said on the lips of the last words of Jewish martyrs. And also, perhaps some know, that Shema is also the last word said in Vidui, the confession people say on their deathbed. At the final moment of life, the rabbi guides the departing person to say 3 sentences. The First one is Adonai Melech, Adonai Malach, Adonai Yimloch Leolam Va'ed. God exists, always existed, and will continue to exist forever. The second one is Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed. Bless the source of abundance in the world forever and ever. And the third one, the final words for some as they pass on, is the third sentence, Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. So let us analyze the word Shema tonight to see how it can add to our Yom Kippur journey today and what it might mean for us in the year ahead of us. The first image I'd like to use is of the word Shema, meaning to hear. A literal word saying we have to hear each other. I'm going to be using a biblical text for each of the three explanations of Shema that I'll share with you tonight. The text is from Genesis 47, sentence 7 to 10. And this is a section where Pharaoh, the leader of Egypt, and Jacob, when he comes to see his sons again, to see Joseph again for the first time after 17 years, when they meet for the first time, Vayavo Yosef et Yaakov Aviv, and Joseph brought in Jacob his father and set him before Pharaoh, and Jacob blessed Pharaoh. And Pharaoh said unto Jacob, very unusual phrase, Kama yemei shenei chayecha. How many are the days of the years of your life? And Jacob answers Pharaoh, Yemei shenei megurai shloshim u'me'ah shana. The days of the years of my sojournings are 130 years. But he goes on, and he says, Ma'at v'ra'im hayu yemei shenei chayai. Few and troubled have been the days of the years of my life. And he goes on to say a third point, V'lo hisigu et yemei shenei chayei avotai b'mei migurehem. And they have not achieved unto the days of the years of the life of my fathers in the days of their sojournings. And Jacob blessed Pharaoh and went out from the presence of Pharaoh. What's this about? And what's this have to do with what we are speaking about today with the Shema? Pharaoh and Jacob meet for the first time, and Pharaoh asks Jacob, how many are the days of the years of your life? It's a very odd question. Days of the years? Why didn't Pharaoh just ask the simple question, how old are you? Jacob gives three answers. We'll discuss Jacob's first response here and refer back to this narrative, this interaction, this dialogue, as we proceed to understand two other interpretations of Shema. The first answer by Jacob is a simple answer. It says, I heard your question. The answer he gives is straightforward. My answer is I'm 130 years old. Yemei shenei megurei shloshim u'me'at shana. The days of the years of my sojourning are 130 years. A colleague of mine many years ago, and I'd love to find his source, said in the time of Egypt in those times, they counted years every 6 months. So if you think 130, think 65. That's how old he was at that time, which at those times was an advanced age. Often that is all we need. We need to hear each other in our lives. We need to hear the question and give an answer. It's straightforward. No need for a hidden agenda, no subtext. Just hear the question and answer. For some, even that level of hearing is a challenge. Many like to speak, but do not hear the other person. Sometimes their speech is just babbling away and not saying anything meaningful. As the song, The Sound of Silence says, people talking without speaking. When you do this, you don't hear even the obvious message. We need to counteract the tendency of people not hearing each other. But a second explanation of the Shema goes beyond hearing to a deeper level of listening. When Shema means to listen, we are saying we need to reach a deeper level. The challenge is not just to hear, but to listen deeply. To refer to our text from the Torah cited earlier, the deeper meaning of listening was part of Jacob's second response to Pharaoh. Remember, Pharaoh asked, Kama yemei shnei chayecha, how many are the days of the years of your life? And the second part that Jacob said was, Ma'at v'ra'im hayu yemei shnei chayai. Few and troubled have been the days of the years of my life. A deeper answer. Jacob listened deeply. The question became, what has been the quality of your life? And Jacob responded after listening deeply and gave a reflective and emotional response. It's been a tough life. I was expelled from my home. Rachel, my beloved, died young. Our first child was presumed dead until now, and I had to leave the land I was promised and sojourn in Egypt. We need to embrace this second message of Shema as listening in our daily lives. We need to engage with each other by doing more than just hearing. We need to reflect on what is said and really listen to each other. Many people are unable to articulate their feelings precisely. It is as if we sometimes lack the words, the vocabulary to express feelings. And when we listen to those articulations, we need to listen and deeply, even more so at that time, to the full message that may be underneath the surface of what is being said. What is the deeper meaning? What is the subtext? The unspoken words. We can help the other person articulate their feelings. We can help the other person by showing you really listen to them. We need to hear and really listen to each other to bring us closer together to fulfill the second insight from the Shema. To listen deeply, listen to the inner voice, as the song The Sound of Silence says, people talking without listening. We need to hear that deeper message, that deeper meaning that is often left unsaid. And the third explanation for the word Shema goes beyond hearing and listening. It focuses on the symbolic message of repairing. To hear and listen to the individual and the collective voices and respond with meaningful action. In our Jacob-Pharaoh dialogue from the Torah, Jacob gave a third response to Pharaoh. Remember, Pharaoh asked one question, Kama yemei shnei chayecha? How many are the days of the years of thy life? And Jacob's third answer was, V'lo hisigu et yemei shnei chayei avotai bimei megurehem. They have not achieved unto the days of the years of the life of my foreparents in the days of their sojournings. I have not achieved as much as my father, my mother, my grandfather, my grandmother, of Isaac and Rebekah, of Abraham and Sarah, which could mean that he's admitting defeat, that he'll never be as good as his parents were. Or perhaps he is saying not yet, and he plans to do more and make a difference to repair the world in his remaining years. And so, we are able to see through this and think through this third message that we have for the Shema. And it's very much so what we have when we think about the message of the Vidui. One of the things about Yom Kippur that is quite beautiful in its structure is the finale of Yom Kippur. At the end, when we'll be finishing up tomorrow night, we say 3 sentences. We say the Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. And then we say 3 times the Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuto Li'olam Va'ed. And then we end with Adonai Hu Elohim. Adonai Hu Elohim. Adonai Hu Elohim. And we say this 7 times. Our commentaries look at that and say, that is exactly the same as what you say on the deathbed. that vidui, with one difference. It's in the reverse order. And the vidui, which is the end of time, who will live and who will die, it's the time of passing on. Talks about, remember, Adonai Melech, Adonai Malach, Adonai Yimloch, Li'olam Va'ed, then the Baruch Shem, and then the Shema. At the end, we say the Shema first. Instead of the last words, it's not a statement of who will die, but it's a statement of will you live. The second sentence, before was Baruch Shem, we keep it as a second sentence. And the third sentence, which was the first sentence of the vidui, Adonai Melech, Adonai Malach, Adonai Yimloch, Li'olam Va'ed, is put together with a parallel sentence of Adonai Hu Elohim, which is said 7 times, a short version of that opening line. The reversal of the order of those 3 sentences symbolizes that we can reverse the vidui. We can reverse the deathbed trajectory during our lives. For who will die and who will truly live becomes who will be able to repair their lives from this Yom Kippur to the next and create a meaningful life for the year ahead. So the third message of Shema is to repair, to give voice, to take action. Too often we become insular. We don't think of others, their needs, their concerns, their troubles. We need to respond to those voices and take action, which in Jewish terms would be tikkun olam, repairing the world, by listening to the collective voices of our people, to listening to the entire world, to act, to reach out, and to repair them. It's a call to all of us to Ya'aleh, as the next prayer we are going to read says. We need to speak up for those who may be silenced. As the song, The Sound of Silence says, for voices never shared, and repair ourselves and help repair others. So let us reflect on the 3 interpretations of Shema. To hear the basic message, to listen, to hear the deeper message, and to repair, to actually do something about it and try to make a difference. All reflected in Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Perhaps Paul Simon had other ideas in mind when he wrote The Sound of Silence. But for me, some of his words resonate powerfully today. And in the naked light I saw 10,000 people, maybe more, people talking without speaking. Can we speak in meaningful ways and hear each other? People hearing without listening. How might we become deep listeners to subtle messages and even to the words that are left unsaid? And people writing songs that voices never shared. What can we do to repair ourselves, to act, to transform, to do tikkun olam, and to make the world a better place? May this year be the year where we all are able to commit to really hear, to really listen, and to commit to repair ourselves, our people, our country, and our world. Shana Tova. We continue with the Ya'aleh service on page 223. The ark is open. Please rise.
Ya'aleh, 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 יעלה יעלה תחנוננו מערב, יעלה יעלה תחנוננו מערב.
ויבוא ויבוא שבתנו מבוקר, ויבוא ויבוא שבתנו מבוקר.
ויראה, ויראה,
ויראה, ויראה, עיננו עד ערב.
עד ערב ויראה, ויראה,
ויראה, ויראה, עיננו עד ערב.
יעלה. יעלה, יעלה,
יעלה,
יעלה, יעלה,
יעלה,
יעלה, יעלה,
יעלה,
יעלה,
יעלה,
יעלה, יעלה, הנקתנו מערב, יעלה, יעלה, הנקתנו מערב.
ויבוא ויבוא אליך מבוקר, ויבוא ויבוא אליך מבוקר.
ויראה,
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 ויראה, ויראה, אלינו עד ערב.
עד ערב ויראה,
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 ויראה, ויראה, אלינו עד ערב.
We turn to page 225. The ark is closed. Please be seated. Hanasham Alach.
הנשמה לך והגוף פועלך, וסלם לך. הנשמה לך והגוף שלך, אדוני יעשה למען שמך. אתה למען שמך אדוני וסלחת לבוננו כי רבו. דרכך אלוהינו להאריך אפיך, לרעים ולטובים תהילתך, למענך אלוהינו, עשה ולא לנו, רע מינתנו דלים וריקים, טל רוחה לעלה נידף, תנחם על עפר ואפר, תשליך חטאינו ותחום במעשיך, תראה כי אין איש עשה בנו צדקה.
Continue on the page 227. There's a reflection by the Derech Chaim, one of these commentaries on the Machzor, where he says this very practical writing poem that we're going to be reading in a moment. He writes that it's a message to honor each person, whether rich or poor, and let your thoughts that you are honoring them become so important to you because they are all created in the image of God. And when you honor them, you are honoring the crafter, the creator, who made them all. We're on page 227, Ki hine kachomer.
כי הנה כחומר ביד היוצר, ברצותו מרחיב וברצותו מקצר, כן אנחנו בידך חסד נוצר,
Continues to the bottom of the page.
הנה ככסף ביד הצורף, ברצותו משגשג וברצותו מצרף. ממציל המזות טרף, לבריתה בית ואלתפם ליצר.
We turn to page 229, El Melech Yosef.
El Melech Yosef al kisei rachamim מתנהג בחסידות. מוחל עוונות עמו, מעביר ראשון, מרבה מחילה לחטאים, וסליחה לפושעים, עושה צדקות, עם כל בשר רוח, לא חירת תגמול, לא חירת תגמול.
אל הורית לנו מה 13 זכור לנו היום ברית 13 כמו שידענו נתן לבנה מקדם כמו שכתוב וילך וידן והתייצב עמו שם ויקרא בשם אדוני ויעבור אדוני על פניו ויקרא אדוני סלמנו חטאתנו ונחלתנו.
סלח לנו אבינו כי חטאנו, מחל לנו מלכנו כי פשענו, כי אתה אדוני טוב וסלח, ברב חסד לכל קוראיו.
Please be seated. We turn to page 233. And together let us read in English the second paragraph where it says culmination of Slichot. Hear our voice. We'll read this responsively in English. Hear our voice, Adonai, our God. Be kind and have compassion for us. Willingly and lovingly accept our prayer. Together, turn us toward you, Adonai, and we will return to you. Make our days seem fresh as they once were. Do not cast us away from you. Take not your holy presence from us. Together. Do not cast us away as we grow old. Do not desert us as our enemy wanes. We begin on the fifth line in Hebrew on page 233. Please rise for the Shema Kolenu. שמע קולנו אדוני אלוהינו חוס ורחם עלינו וקבל ברחמים וברצון את תפילותינו.
השיבנו אדוני אליך ונשובה אליך ונשובה.
חדש ימינו,
חדש ימינו,
חדש ימינו כקדם,
חדש ימינו כקדם.
Together hashivenu Adonai elecha v'nashuva chadesh yameinu kikedem.
Al tashlichenu, al tashlichenu, al tashlichenu milfanecha veruach veruach kodeshecha al tikach mimenu.
Together al tashlichenu milfanecha v'ruach kodshecha al tikach mimenu.
Tashlichenu le'ezigna, al tashlichenu, tashlichenu, al tashlichenu le'ezigna, le'ezigna.
Al tashlichenu li'ezigna,
תשליכנו לעת זקנה, ככלות כוחנו אל תעזבנו. We continue on the top of page 234. The ark is closed. You may be seated.
אלוהינו ולאבותינו, סלח לנו, מחל לנו, כפר לנו, כי אנו עמך ואתה אלוהינו, אנו עמך ואתה אבינו, אנו עבדיך ואתה אדוננו, אנו קהלך ואתה חלקנו, אנו נחלתך ואתה גורלנו, אנו צונך ואתה רואינו, אנו חרמך ואתה נותרנו, אנו פלטך ואתה יוצרנו, אנו רייתך ואתה דודנו, אנו סגולתך ואתה גרובנו, אנו עמך ואתה מכנו, אנו מאמירך ואתה מאמירנו.
We continue on.
אנו עזבנים ואתה רחמנו, אנו שאור ואתה ערך אפיים, אנו לעוון ואתה מלא רחמים, אנו ימי גזרו ואתה ושלותיך לא ייתמו.
Please rise. We're on page 235 for the Ashamnu.
אלוהינו ולאבותינו תבוא לפניך תפילתנו ואל תנעל מבחינתנו שאין אנחנו הנציב לפניך, אדוני אלוהינו ולאבותינו צדיקים אנחנו ולא חטאנו, אבל אנחנו אבותינו חטאנו. איי 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 אשמנו בגדנו גזלנו דיברנו דופי, איי 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 אבינו והרשענו, זדנו, חמסנו, טפלנו שקר, איי 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 יצנו רע, גזענו, לצנו, מררנו, יצנו, שררנו, אבינו, פשענו, שררנו, כשעורף, איי 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 רשענו, שחטנו, תיעבנו, טעינו, תיתנו.
We continue on page 237, Al Chet.
על חטא שחטא לפניך
Mom wants to watch.
שחטאנו לפניך שחטאנו לפניך ביודעים ובלא יודעים ויעל כולם אלוהי סליחות סלח לנו מחר לנו כפר לנו ועל חטא שחטאנו על החטא שחטאנו
Y'all call it.
שחטאנו לפניך מעיניים רמות היי ועל חטא היי ועל חטא שחטאנו לפניך בעזות מצח ועל כולם אלוהי סליחות סלח לנו מחר לנו כפר לנו
All
Okay, שחטאנו לפניך בלי גדול, החטא שחטאנו לפניך יא חטא שחטאנו לפניך בתבהר ונבוא
על חטא שחטאנו לפניך בצומן יד היי ועל חטא היי ועל חטא שחטאנו לפניך בתימהון לבב ועל כולם אלוהי סליחות סלח לנו מחר לנו כפר לנו.
The ark is open. We turn to page 243, Avinu Malkeinu. We read silently until the indented, bold sections, those 8 lines in the middle of page 243. Avinu Malkeinu chatanu lefanecha.
אבינו מלכנו חטאנו לפניך
Avinu Malkeinu chadesh alenu shenatu. Avinu Malkeinu. Avinu Malkeinu.
אבינו מלכנו, החזירנו תשובה שלמה לפניך.
אבינו מלכנו, החזירנו בתשובה שלמה לפניך.
אבינו מלכנו, שלח רפואה שלמה לחולי עמך.
אבינו מלכנו, שלח רפואה שלמה לחולי עמך.
אבינו מלכנו, זוכרנו בזיכרון טוב לפניך.
אבינו מלכנו, זכרנו בזיכרון טוב לפניך.
אבינו מלכנו, כתבנו בספר חיים טובים.
אבינו מלכנו, כתבנו בספר חיים טובים.
אבינו מלכנו, כתבנו בספר גאולה וישועה.
אבינו מלכנו, כתבנו בספר גאולה וישועה.
אבינו מלכנו, כתבנו בספר פרנסה וכלכלה.
אבינו מלכנו, כתבנו בספר פרנסה וכלכלה.
אבינו מלכנו, כתבנו בספר זכויות.
אבינו מלכנו, כתבנו בספר זכויות.
אבינו מלכנו, כתבנו בספר סליחה ומחילה.
אבינו מלכנו, כתבנו בספר סליחה ומחילה. אבינו מלכנו, אשמח לנו ישוב בקרוב.
אבינו מלכנו, עשה למען חיים, לא למעננו. אבינו מלכנו, אבינו מלכנו, אבינו מלכנו, חנננו עלינו, כי אין בנו מעשים, עשה עמנו צדקה וחסד, עשה עמנו צדקה וחסד והושיענו, עשה עמנו צדקה וחסד, עשה עמנו צדקה וחסד והושיענו.
You may be seated. We continue in the middle of page 245, the Kaddish Shalem. Please rise.
Every shul has their own custom. Because if you don't want to, you can't do it.
Bum 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 bum. Yom bum. Yom bum. Yom
יתגדל ויגדל שמך
Amen. Yom bum.
עמד ורחירותך וימליך מלכותך וחייך וביומך ובחיי בכל בית ישראל בנו בזמן קריב ויאמרו
Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabba Mevarach Le'olam u'lamei Almaya Yitbarach Yitbarach
יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל
Shemei Dekudesha
שמי דקודשה
B'richu
לעילם ולעילם מכל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה דמירנה ביעלמה תושבחתה ונחמתה דמירנה ביעלמה יאמרו
אמן.
תתקבל צלותינו ועל דעות כל בית ישראל אדם אבוהו נראה שמעיית ויאמרו ויאמרו
אמן.
יש למה רבה מן שמיה וחיים עלינו עלינו ויד כל ישראל ויאמרו ויאמרו עושה שלום במרומיו הוא יעשה שלום עלינו עלינו ויעל כל ישראל
ויאמרו
ויאמרו
Give it a good one.
ויאמרו
Amen, amen, amen. Together, page 246, Aleinu.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כגויי האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל העולם. אנחנו קוראים, משתחווים ומודים, לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסד הארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינת עוזו בגובה מרומים, הוא אלוהינו אחד, אמת מלכנו אפס זולתו, ככתוב בתורתו, וידעת היום להשוות אל לבבך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ מתחת עינות כי המלכות שלך ימיה תמלוך בכבוד, כתוב בתורתך אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו
Seated, we're in 248. LeDavid Adonai Odi v'Yeshivi Midi.
לדוד אדוני אוהבי וישיבי מעירה. לו אמרתי לו בדובנה מארץ חיים, קבל אדוני חסד וגימת ליבך, וקבל אדוני.
Mourners Kaddish, page 247. For those who are mourners and who are able to rise, please rise.
Yitgadal, Yitkadash, Shmei Rabbah, V'yalma, Divrach, Yirutei, V'yamlich Malchutei, B'chayei Chonu, V'yomei Chonu, B'chayei Dechol Beit Yisrael, Ba'agala, Gizman Kari, V'imra Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah, Mevarach, V'olam, Almei, Almaya, Yitbarach, V'yishtabach, V'yitpawar, V'yitromam, V'yitnaseh, V'yitadar, V'yitaleh, V'yitalal, Shmei Kudisha, Brichu, Liela, min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbachata menechemata, damiran v'yoma v'imru amen. Yehei shlomo rabba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh Shalom B'Ramav, Uyaseh Shalom Aleinu, V'Al Kol Yisrael, V'Imru. Amen. May be seated. Shekol Chazan.
Feels good.
Not too bad. Maybe tomorrow you'll get a little better. So we have a vantage point up here that you guys don't get to see, but there's a way you can sort of. Tomorrow, if you have a chance, I know that Chazan, because he faces the Aron, you don't really get a chance to see his face when he's davening for us, but a lot of you can see it from a side and go, take a look, because he's always got a giant smile on his face. He's singing, he's just enjoying himself so much, and we love watching you.
Well, I don't do it because I don't like it.
But better than that, take a look at this beautiful one right here, Risa. Especially when Robbie, I'll be very honest, when I'm sure you all know that Jeremy and Robbie are brothers. So, when he comes over, when they do their all chates, I used to say to him, dude, can you cut this one? It's long, it's boring, no one likes it.
If I did, our mother would kill us.
But over the years, not only have I gotten used to it, I really enjoy it now, because just watching them and watching Robbie look into his brother's eyes, it's just so nice. And watching their mother watch them with a nachas, it's beautiful to see. So if you get a chance, watch Chazan's face and watch Risa's face. A little extra enjoyment for the service. No brief announcements today, no big announcements, just a couple of brief announcements. Tomorrow morning, service starts at 9 a.m. Everyone wants to know what time Yizkor is, and I've been saying it for years, and I'll tell you again. Yizkor will be at the appropriate time. Yizkor follows a Torah service. The Torah service starts around just before 10 o'clock. So be here on time. That's all I can tell you. If you're here by 10:30, you should be okay. If you come much later than that, you may miss it. I can't really tell you much more than that. You're welcome, Miriam. Miriam said, please tell people, because everyone's walking out the door and everyone's asking what time's Yizkor. I said, Miriam, I tell them the same every year. Yizkor is at the appropriate time. Join us tomorrow. I'm sure you've all enjoyed our services this year. We're doing great. Yeshua Rabbi and the choir, singing your beautiful speech. To all of you hanging out for joining us at 9:35 in the evening. Service concludes the Don Olam, and we'll see you tomorrow morning, service at 9 a.m. And we'll finish, don't worry, we won't be too late tomorrow. We have an afternoon service for families at 1:30, so I guarantee you we'll be done by 1:29. Don Olam.
ולי תכלית ולא עוז ועם ישראל ולא עוז ועם ישראל אדון עולם אשר בטרם טוב וחי גואלים צור חבלי ביצרה צור חבלי ביצרה והוא ניסי ומנוסלי ונתוסי ביום אקרא ונתוסי ביום אקרא אדון עולם אשר בטרם כל יציר נברא בידו אף כדרוכי ויתישן וירא יתישן וירא ואם רוחי גוויתי אדוני לי ולא ירא אדוני לי ולא ירא אדון עולם אשר אדון בטרם כל יציר אדון עולם אשר עלה בטרם כל יציר
Gemar Tov, everybody.
מה טוב, everybody.
9 a.m. service.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah.